Welcome to the second Explaining History videocast, and this is a videocast for students, particularly people that have just started doing A-level history this term. Maybe it was even this week. I wanted to start off by giving some kind of useful stuff that's really going to help you, irrespective of whatever you're studying, whether it's the Tudors or Stalin or Hitler or what have you. And I thought the best place to start would be to look at assignments and questions. Now, this is obviously something that's going to be something of a culture shock. Now, if you're studying in Great Britain, you'll have done your GCSEs and now you're on to A-level. I'm guessing that in most other countries around the world, there's a rough equivalent. So if this doesn't speak directly to your education system, bear with me, because it kind of will. Now, the culture shock that you're going to encounter is that in Britain anyway, when you're looking at GCSE exams, is that the examiner is going to be nicer to you, let's face it. They're going to be more forgiving of certain sins that all historians, all history students engage in. The big one being that there's a tendency to focus on knowledge excessively to the exclusion of argument. Now, the way I see it, knowledge and argument have to kind of coexist. They do kind of a little dance, if you will. We need to have plenty of great subject knowledge. We need to know our dates, our facts, the reasons why things happen. We need to know our causation, what particular important things were done by certain individuals at certain times and what these things led to. Okay, that's obvious. That's the kind of history that you're taught really from primary school onwards. Now, the thing that you're going to have to master at A-level, and everyone who does this, who I teach, shoots ahead. And this is the key distinction that will separate you from the middle section of okay-ish students to the top section of superstars. You're going to have to grapple with the idea of being able to argue. Now, what does it mean to argue? Well, every question that you're going to be faced with is going to be, to what extent did this factor lead to this thing? How far would you agree that this event was the most important thing in this particular period? Such and such an individual's downfall was really the result of these three key factors. Discuss. They're asking you to give a position on this, an opinion. Now, the irony is that all people, all day long, particularly students at A-level, are expressing opinions on everything you can imagine. When they come into the classroom, they suddenly freeze up. Think of every conversation you've had today or yesterday or in the last week, and in those conversations you will have given opinions. Yes, I do like this. No, I don't like that. I like eating this. I don't like eating that. And then you will go on and justify those opinions. I like this music for these reasons. I don't like him for those reasons. And here is the nucleus of really what you're meant to be doing in a history essay. So let us say we've got ourselves a question: to what extent can the Second World War be accountable? Well, to what extent was the Second World War a key factor in the radicalization of the persecution of the Jews from simple persecution through to genocide? Now, my answer to that would be it's a fundamental factor. Without the war, it's possible that the final solution may not have occurred. Well, no doubt persecution would have happened in all manner of other ways, but it's possible that the Holocaust may not have occurred in the way it did without the complications of the war. So I've been asked a question, and my opinion is automatically it is a huge factor. Now, without me giving that judgment right there, bang in my introduction, the rest of the essay becomes this kind of narrative trek, where the only thing that there is to say, and there's not very much to say at all without an argument, but the only thing there is to say is Well, in 1933 Hitler came to power, and then in 1935 there were the Nuremberg laws, and then there was the Kristallnacht, and then the war started, and then. And all I've done is give a narrative. All I've done is give a chronology. I haven't answered the question. I haven't addressed it. I haven't even explored what the examiner is asking me. Now, imagine that we're going back to the point I was making earlier, that you are talking to a friend, you're talking to your parents, you're talking to somebody about something not related to history. Somebody asks you, do you like Italian food? You would give an opinion. Well, I do quite like it, but I don't really like pasta very much, and so that rules out a whole range of Italian food. There's a judgment. What you wouldn't do is give a long narrative ramble about Italian food, all the facts you know about Italian food in roughly chronological order. The person talking to you would look mystified. What are you talking about? Now imagine that the person who you're talking to in the exam is the examiner. They are in essence sitting by your table. They've left the question on your table and they're waiting for you to answer it. They just want to know your opinion. The exams you'll face throughout your A-levels aren't designed to catch you out. If you do no work, if you don't do any reading, if you don't do any of the things I'm going to suggest in these video casts, then, they will effectively catch you out. But I know you guys aren't going to do that because you've taken the time and trouble to look on YouTube to find out all about history. But the exams are not designed to catch you out. What they're designed to do is to find out what you think, what you actually think. Now we're getting to the crux of what you've got to be doing in the next 2 years. You have to read enough, you have to work hard enough, and you have to absorb enough knowledge so that you can have an informed opinion. Now, take a moment, pause this video for a moment, and write down 3 things in your life, be it, ice hockey, heavyweight boxing, what have you, that you have opinions on, informed opinions, that you know something about, that you could get into an argument with somebody about, and you would win. Then, once you've done that, think about how you've acquired that knowledge, how you have that detail of knowledge. Because this is what we've got to do to push you to the A-star level. We have to, and I will continue within these video casts to talk about various other things that are going to really, really sharpen your arsenal of knowledge and make sure that you are, when you go into the exams, you are able really to address the question that you're being faced with, and not address it with narrative, not address it with chronology, but address it with argument. So, okay, right, are you back? Thank you. Right. Okay, so to recap, this is just a very quick video, really just to talk about this one question of argument and addressing questions. How you argue, we're going to look at in another video cast. I've put on if you see this web address here, www.explaininghistory.com, I've put on my website, there is a tab called Free Stuff. If you go to that, there's an entire PDF you can download which will talk you through the step-by-step instructions on building an introduction and building an argument into your introduction. So if you go and get that, that'll be hugely useful to you. Also, if you go to my website, there's a link through to the Explaining History podcast. On there are at least half a dozen different audios on how to build arguments and how to write essays. If you're really, really stuck, you can contact me, Nick Shepley, at info@explaininghistory.com if this is all really, really puzzling to you. But also, I'll be uploading more videos very shortly onto the site, onto this YouTube channel, so stay tuned. Anyway, I hope this has been useful now, but you need to really get yourself into the mindset of thinking about addressing questions with arguments. That is your golden rule, addressing questions with arguments.